Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Let's talk about sticky stuff. All right, how's it going, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to talk about vinyl graphics. Yep, something I've been working with a little bit with the guitar part of it now, which I kind of like. And I want to go into the old school way of doing graphics with vinyl, pinstriping, and everything else. Now, here is kind of like a basic kit that you would use for putting on graphics. The most important thing that you would need for doing large area graphics is soapy water, mild soapy water. Why? Because the soapy water, when you spray the surface that you're putting your graphic on, you are able to move the graphic exactly where you want it to be, and then you're able to squeegee out all the air bubbles with this here. And then after you squeegee out all the air bubbles, it will still kind of slip and slide a little bit on you. And that's when you come in with this and kind of add a little bit of pressure, and you're able to make the adhesive adhere to the body a little bit better. And then you peel off the top coating of what the is protecting the graphic, and your graphic should be adhered to whatever you're adhering it to. Now, a lot of graphic kits come with these things here. These are box cutters. These are garbage, okay? You're able to split off every time you need a new blade. You just break off a piece, which sometimes you break two of them off depending on how you do it. And these are garbage. Throw them away. Get yourself an actual kit for doing a razor blade kit. And really the only razor blade you're really going to need is something like this, something that has a nice sharp point to it that you can get into kind of tight areas with it, because you're going to have to split the graphic between the door and the fender, or around the trunk hood or the hood of the car. Anywhere there's a hinged or a break between two pieces, or a gap between two pieces, you're going to have to split that. And you have the option of folding it under, or whatever, however you want to do it. Now, I have some photos of what I used to do as far as graphics goes, but I also have a few photos off the internet that what my father used to do when he used to do graphics. Now, the first video is basically, self-explanatory. Old Pontiac Trans Am with the Firebird on the hood, and then an old Z28 Camaro. I wish that we had digital equipment years ago, as I was growing up, to take pictures of a lot of the stuff that we did. I mean, I've got to watch my father do a pickup truck that had nothing but the whole side of the pickup truck was nothing but a huge graphic, and it also continued onto the hood of the vehicle as well. Wasn't that much paint exposed, but a lot of it was, a vinyl graphic. So vinyl's been around for quite a while. Now, in 1991, my first vehicle was a 89 Chevy S10 pickup custom lowrider. Yeah, kind of a strange vehicle for somebody who had long hair, listened to heavy metal music, and yeah. But I got to learn a little bit about graphics on that vehicle as well, because of the person that designed the graphics. He had a plotter, and he would put the large tube of vinyl roll inside of the plotter, and everything was done on a computer to where he designed whatever design he wanted, and it would cut it out on the plotter. And the same thing that is basically with the graphics that I've been getting from DiamondCut Graphics. It's almost the same thing, basically. So I ended up having a little bit of a fender bender. I needed to replace the graphics on the, I believe it was the front driver's side fender, I think it was. Somebody fucking ended up hitting me with, and it's got these stripes on there, which is really nothing. It's just like, there was a purple Chevy emblem scribbled on top of the hood. It looked like somebody scribbled it with a marker or something. And then it had these little ribbons that came off of it, off down the fender into the side of the car. And I just needed the graphics that were damaged on the fender. And, so I was able to, he printed me out a sheet, lined it up with the hood, lined it up with the fender or the door, and was able to make my cuts, and it worked out perfectly. Had no problems with that. Excuse me. So one thing about this stuff is that it's pretty easy to do, and it's pretty simple to screw up. So these are pictures of my PT Cruiser and the stages that I went through with that thing as far as doing pinstriping and then adding on graphics later on. So in this first picture of my PT, it's a 2004 Chrysler PT Cruiser GT, which had the turbo, and it was pretty basic. There was no pinstriping or anything on it, so I ended up adding a pinstriping going around the vehicle. And look familiar? This is the pinstriping that I used. Alright, so this is a phase 2 of what I used to do with the vehicle. I ended up going to an auto parts store, and I found a couple of rolls of this flamed out pinstriping, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I ended up putting it on the PT Cruiser after removing the silver and racing orange pinstriping that I put on there the first time. So yeah, a little bit of phases, kind of went through. So this is when I really got carried away. Now, the one bad thing about putting pinstriping on a vehicle and leaving it on there for, say 5 years or whatever, pinstriping adhesive has a tendency to swell up the paint a little bit underneath it. And the longer that the pinstriping is on there, the more it's going to show after you peel off the pinstriping. Removing the pinstriping, you'll see a bump underneath it, the paint swelled up. So in this picture, I ended up getting some chrome trim and kind of wrapped the car around with the chrome trim, and then picked up some what looks like stainless steel, brushed stainless steel flame job graphics, and kind of went a little bit crazy with it, as you can see. Then was the last and least phase of the 2003 PT Cruiser GT. Yeah, I know. Why do up a PT Cruiser? Well, because I could. And kind of liked it. And I went to a bunch of car shows at the time and was kind of doing a bunch of things where custom stereo system I installed, everything. TVs, whatever I could throw in the damn thing, I did. And this was the last phase, so it got a complete paint job. The whole vehicle got stripped down and repainted. Me and my brother both, my brother did the painting because I can't spray with a gun. I came up with the colors, and the pinstriping that is on this thing is no longer a peel and stick vinyl stripe. The orange, candy orange that we used for the pinstriping was painted on first, and then masked off how we wanted the stripe to go, and then the rest of the car was painted. So that's the last of that, and then I got rid of the car. Alright, so I have my basic pinstriping here. There's also other pinstripings. You have a single lined, double lined. Here's another single line kit, or you have one I had on the PT Cruiser, which are basically the lines are the same thickness, and then they come with a sheet, which these are made for the ends of, or the beginning of your pinstriping. Sometimes the kits would come with especially for a double stripe, it will have an end already cut out. There'll be two of them, and one for the left side, one for the right side. And you would just put them at the end of the pinstriping. You have to make sure that they're nice and straight. Now, putting on pinstriping is kind of an art, all right? It is not easy to do, but then again, it's not that hard either. So when you have a piece of pinstriping like this, and you want to have a nice straight line, well, add a little bit of tension to the strip, not pulling it so much where you're going to start pulling it apart, okay? And as you lay it down, keep adding the pressure to it, and then you have a nice straight line, all right? When you're doing a body that's got a lot of curves and you want to follow those curves, well, first you got to know exactly where you want to put it. Usually it's within either above or the bottom of a body line on a vehicle. What if you don't have a body line? Well, then you have to do a little bit of measuring to find out exactly where your starting point is going to be and how it's going to be. And as you're going, say on the PT Cruiser's hood, where the opening of the hood, it only has like this much on the bottom of it. Where do you want to put this thing? As far as how, well, it all determines on what the next part of the vehicle is going to be. So if you have the curve like the PT has on the hood, but yet you don't like where it's going to on the door, then you're going to have to refigure out what you want. But how do you get that a nice straight line going around a curve? Well, you'll end up putting your piece of tape on the beginning point of it, and you'll kind of be step back away from the car a little bit, and you'll be going down with it, adding a little bit of pressure onto it, not too much where you're going to stretch out the tape, and you're going to follow the body line or the seam between the hood and the front fender as you go around. And you could see if it's going to have a wave in it or not, and you can peel it back up and redo it. But once you do this to the tape, yeah, it's set. All right, and trying to peel that off, when you add the pressure to it and set that tape up, when you try to peel that off, you could stretch the tape out quite a bit, have some problems. Now, this tape here is kind of like the DiamondCut Graphics, where it has, and I'm going to use this cheap X-Acto knife, where it has a piece of plastic that is protecting the tape. This is how it keeps the two lines in one spot. So you're going to have to pick it off a little bit and then peel off that tape. Now you have two solid lines. Now remember, if you cut your ends too deep, you're going to cut into the finish. So you got to be careful and know the feel of the razor blade and the thickness of the vinyl tape. So if you're going to cut an end on it, just slash it on an angle or something, you don't want to cut it too deep to where it's going to permanently damage the finish underneath it, which is a pretty good scratch, gouge, and depending on how far you went into the finish, it could rust in that area. Now, trying to, like, say this came with ends, I could put the end on it, or I can make my own. So I would take the bottom one, peel that up, take the bottom one, stretch it out a little bit, and you would make a nice point. Make your own. Very simple to do. Now, this is not going to be used anymore, so this is garbage. So let's get into, say, cutting your own lettering and shit. All right, so here I have a simple Epiphone bumper sticker. And say, well, I like the bumper sticker, I like the writing, but I don't like this black background. What can you do to get rid of that? Well, pretty hard to do, all right? Tape it down tight, and I'll show you the pain in the ass of cutting out your own lettering. Why having a plotter or somebody that does graphic work, vinyl graphics, that is, makes this a lot easier. So you have one of these razor blades, okay? And you want to sit there and you want to cut out the outline of this. Well, you have a little lock, you lock it. All right, so that's good. But you got to have a nice sharp blade, and it has to be out enough to where you can make turns really good without messing anything up, and try to follow lines. Well, these are good for making straight lines, but you're trying to do a curve and follow it perfectly is a pain in the ass. You're going to have some waves. Like I said, these are box cutters. Unless you're cutting box with them, throw them away. These kits, on the other hand, are really nice because you're able to hold them like a pencil, and you're able to follow around curves and everything else, just like if you were trying to draw. So say I'm going to cut this out. All right, this is where the pain in the ass comes in. Very time consuming to cut this out by hand. Also, it's very hard to say if these were separate letters. It's very hard to line up the letters properly. Like it's supposed to look. Sometimes you'll have maybe one letter is a little bit crooked, one letter maybe a little bit higher or lower. There's really nothing you could put on top of this to get this to stay together when you're cutting it. So if I want to go ahead and cut, I need my glasses, sorry. Yes, I'm wearing glasses for close-up stuff. I just have to. So if I want to cut this out, you know, I'd go ahead and trace it right on top of, right between the black and the white, which you can't have any line that is not as perfect as this. Black background, white lettering. Plus, you'll see if you screwed up. Now, I'm left-handed, so I have to use a left hand to do this. All right, so I've got my part of that E cut out. So I can go ahead and pick the black and pick that up. But see, I thought I was cutting on the line. I still have some black there. And still have some black over here. Still have some black over here. And it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. All right, so with these, having something that's already cut out for you, this is perfect. All right, I mean, this is, you can't ask for anything better. Now, there is a grid on these, and I'll show a nice reason why this grid is going to come in very handy later on. You peel this off, you peel this off, you peel the backing off, and you still have all the lettering stuck to this top sheet. And what's nice about it is I don't have to cut these letters out. They're perfect the way they are. I don't have to rearrange them. I don't have to try to line them up to where it looked like what it's supposed to look like. Say if these were all separate letters, it's there all in one. This is no good. So I've got a bunch of these Epiphone bumper stickers. I took the one that looks like the shittiest one and basically use it as demonstration. So I'm going to go in the garage and I want to start the process of putting these on the back window of my car. All right, so when applying any type of a graphic at all, or any type of a peel and stick sticker, or anything that you want to add to your vehicle window, body, or anything else, you want to make sure that it is clean, free of any greases, oils, and waxes, and you want to make sure that there is no smudge marks or anything else on that finish that'll stop the, or make it difficult for the adhesive to penetrate and stick to whatever surface that you are going to apply the decal to. So the first thing that I want to do with this is mark out where the windshield wiper travels, okay? Now, anytime you put a decal or anything on top of your windows or anything else, anything that's going to rub over it will kind of like weaken the life of that decal, regardless if it's a windshield wiper or something that's going to be a movable part or whatever that's going to brush up against it. So easiest way I found to do this with is using a piece of string for measuring. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap a piece of string right where the windshield wiper is, and I want to get some tape ready here to mark where the travel of this windshield wiper is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tape here so I can access it really easily. All right, shouldn't need any more than that. So all right, so I'm using the string to kind of measure how long the windshield wiper is. So I'm right about right here. Can't get any better than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift my windshield wiper up and find out where the travel is. So at the top over here, there's one travel. The side over here. Tape that, and then right here. So that's one side of the windshield where I have this area here where I can work with. Now I'm going to wipe the area that I'm going to apply the decals to. Now, there's nothing on this rag. I've already cleaned the window. Also, with like tree sap or anything else that you want to make sure is this window is free from. Also, if you're using paper towel to clean your windows, I don't recommend microfiber when you're doing graphics, because sometimes microfiber can leave little bits of hair. You don't want that. So also with paper towel, you do not want to touch the surface that is going to be rubbing on the window itself. That's going to leave smudge marks. So I have my hand on the back and just only use the surface to where my hand didn't touch. So the first decal I'm going to be using is the Eric C. Guitar Luthier. So this is kind of where these lines come in a little bit handy on this. And let's see here. Oh, these lines are going to come in handy in here, so I'm going to have to eyeball how straight this is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off my ends. Now you do not want to do this in the sun, and you do not want to do this on a scorching hot windshield. Alright, just like with any graphics, you want to make sure that these graphics adhere to what they're stuck to. So I'm going to go ahead, put this here, and take this and rub up against it, like so, to make sure that these letters are stuck to this outside tape. I don't know if you saw that or not, but alright, so I'm going to go ahead and peel off this backing here. Looks like all the lettering is sticking to where it's supposed to. Get rid of that. Now here comes the fun part, applying this. Alright, so usually with a larger graphic like this, you would use the mild soap and water spray to spray on the window before applying the graphic. But I kind of know what I'm doing here, and as far as bubbles, air bubbles and stuff like that goes, applying it for me is not very difficult. Alright, so I've got it in place, and I want to take this, rub this down. Make sure that the adhesive on the back of the lettering is going to be nice and stuck to the surface of the glass. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel this off slowly. Watching the lettering to make sure that the lettering does not rise with the tape. Voila. No air pockets, no air bubbles, no nothing. Apply some pressure to make sure everything is nice and flat over the letters. Not too much to where you're going to peel the letters off. Now these decals here are a little bit different. They don't have the clear on the front of them. They just have the paper on the front. So what I'm going to do with this, again, to make sure that the lettering sticks to this top part, go ahead and apply pressure to it. Make sure that it adheres properly. Again, I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. Making sure that the lettering and everything sticks to this tape. Now sometimes these will curl, so you want to grab them before it comes off. There you go. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this one on. Go ahead and put the pressure on there again. Alright, go ahead and peel this off very slowly. Alright, you can go ahead and smooth this thing out more. Just like that. And again, I want to take and make sure that this is going to stick to the plastic that's adhered to. Make sure I got no dust or anything else. Peel this up, make sure all the letters are sticking to the backing. Be some if I stuck it upside down, right? Alright, and go ahead and apply some pressure to it. Remove the top. Just like so. Now I see an air pocket, little air bubble right there. So I'll take this and kind of just squeegee it out. Push it out of there. Just like so. So that's it. The back windshield is done. I have to thank Jeff at DiamondCut Graphics. These were really easy to apply, no problems whatsoever. Everything's stuck on the way it's supposed to as far as the front tape goes, holding in all the lettering and stuff, and then peeling it off, and everything stuck to the glass the way it was supposed to. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one, and hope this can help anyone to apply graphics if they need to.